What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and possibly the greatest hero of all time has been released. I may just be extra excited, but this guy is so cool. Just wait until you see him in action at the end of this video. But first, let's take a look at all of his abilities. First off, he's a regular release, and he does cost 90 CP. He's going to be a Bruiser, and he has a built-in Protect. That's right, let's go ahead and check out his passives. First, he has Biocommunication, chance to counter enemy attacks applying Cower and Withered. Then he becomes a Talking Plant when Groot becomes a Cutting. This is really odd wording and I had no idea what they meant, but wait until you see it. Next, he has Flora Colossus, protects allies from single target and area attacks. He's going to protect anything that's able to be protected, and it's built right in. Now that is incredible. Then he's revived as a Cutting when HP reaches 0. So I guess that fills in part of the puzzle, but there is still more that remains to be seen. Then moving on to his actions, first we have his level 1, I Am Groot. This ability happens to be a melee attack that causes pressure points and gives himself thorns. Successful enemy melee attacks against this target give the attacker bleeding and immediately hemorrhage. This effect can be applied up to 3 times. That works out perfectly with the fact that he is a protector, and then pressure points is pretty awesome as well because it does work with Paragon Exploiter. Next we have I Am Groot, and this is a quick action debuff that places Hobbled, Broken Will, and Off Balance on one enemy. So there you have it, attacks cannot be stealthy, meaning he can protect against them. Then add in Broken Will and Off Balance and you have a pretty nice quick action debuff. Now on to his level 6, I Am Groot. This is an unarmed melee attack that has high crits and has something called I Am Groot. I have to admit, I had to pause the video right there because you cannot help but laugh. I expected a lot of I Am Groots, but this passed my expectations. But anyways, this gives a 20% chance to perform a second attack when attacking. This chance increases to 60% against an enemy with Dizzy, Exposed, Slowed, or Weakened. So in other words, pressure points debuffs. Then it also grounds the enemies, so flying characters are no longer immune to ground attacks. Also ignores most evasion effects, and ground attacks are guaranteed to crit. That brings us to our level 9, I Am Groot. It's an AoE that has Deadly Crits, Finest Hour, and Paragon Exploiter. Now this sounds like it's going to be a heavy damage AoE attack. It does start cooled down, but I couldn't see why it wouldn't clear an entire wave of enemies. Finest Hour plus Paragon Exploiter, and on top of it Deadly Crits. Now that is sick. All you have to do is ground the enemies, and then you're guaranteed to crit with that ground attack. But that's not all, he also has a second ability bar. This is what they meant by Talking Plant. Now his level 1 has Rising Up to all allies, and Reforestation. Restore Groot's health by 40%. Then moving on to his level 2, there's really no way to pronounce these. So anyways, his level 2 removes debuffs and has Reforestation. Restores Groot's health by 30%. It appears as though all of these abilities help him regain his health and hopefully get back to 100%. His level 6 gives Rally to all allies, so the next buff action becomes a quick action. This of course could work on any of his abilities from this bar. They're basically all buffs. Oh, and this also restores 20% HP. And his final ability, his level 9, gives an extra turn to one ally. It also restores health by 10%. So there you have it, all of Groot's abilities, and now it's time to see him in action. Let's go ahead and purchase him for 90 CP. I can't wait to see this recruitment dialogue. You know what else I like about this guy? He is massive. His sprite towers above your agent. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, first we have to see what he says. Of course it's I Am Groot. But many people did predict this. Rocket Raccoon actually interprets it. So he says he's happy to be on the team, agent, but he could use some soil. Then I kind of thought that would be it because it's 2 panels, but he actually comes back and says, I am Groot. This time, however, Rocket Raccoon won't interpret it. He says, oh man, I ain't repeating that one. So not too bad for recruitment dialogue. I think it delivered on what most of us expected. By the way, one last thing, since Drax has 6 hours left on training, I'm only going to have Groot at level 1. Also, the only long battle that I had happened to be against Mephisto, a boss in Chapter 6. I took off my protect weapon so Groot would protect, and right away he gets knocked into a cutting. But hey, I did want to see it, and I wanted to show it in video, and it didn't take too long. Now what happens is you go into baby form, and it says cutting, can be KO'd from attacks, but becomes a Flora Colossus when cutting expires. Also, talking plant, chance to follow up ally melee attacks applying toe-to-toe, chance to follow up ally range attacks applying perfect shot, and replaced by biocommunication when Groot becomes a Flora Colossus. So there you have it, when Groot dies, he no longer protects and has a chance to gain back to full health. Then he can grow into his regular self once again. That is pretty awesome, I have to say. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in this game. Like I said, I know it's early, and I know it's a lot of excitement, but this has to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite heroes in the game. I do have to hope that he doesn't get knocked out though, but at least we do get to use his first ability, and it does have Rising Up, and will give him back 40% HP. After this, I have to knock out this enemy with Ghost Rider because she's way too dangerous. Let's start by using a Burnout, and then I'm going to use his level 6. That should pretty easily knock her out. Now onto the second wave out of 3. It's going to be against 2 demons. It looks like they're going to get first turn, and something interesting happens. Ghost Rider steps up and blocks. Now right away this made me wonder, why is Ghost Rider protecting? Well, here you see why. He now has a buff called Tree Hugger, so that's a pretty funny name, and it protects Groot from single target and area attacks. This also made me curious as to whether my agent had this buff as well. So let's mouse over him, and I can tell you that he does. Now how cool is that? Your allies will protect baby Groot. Now I must say that was just an added pleasant surprise. I told you this hero was cool. On my agent's turn I will use the Light Fantastic, and we'll go ahead and heal Groot some more. Then on his turn, I don't think he has any abilities that he can use. So what I'm going to do is try to use a Shawarma. I wasn't sure if you got him back to full health by any means, if he would transform right away or not. He doesn't instantly, but he will on his next turn. Now Ghost Rider is going to take out the top enemy, and then we only have one remaining. I kind of wish we would have passed on my agent's turn and let Groot grow back to full. But instead I finish off the demon with the Warbringer Axe. I guess we'll just have to wait until the boss wave for Groot to grow. This will be the final wave of the fight, and we will get Groot back to full form, I promise. First, the enemies are going to get a ton of turns, and then we'll finally get to go with my agent. The bad news is, both of those demons will have their incredible counterattack, so we're definitely going to have to avoid attacking them. I guess that won't be a problem because we're so low on stamina, we can't even afford to use our stamina recharge. Now that's pretty bad. But there you have it, Groot's back. So now we're going to use his regular level 1, and I'll have to attack Mephisto. Now he's also going to protect once again, and he'll give himself thorns. Like I said, we do not want to get hit with Hell Hath No Fury, so it's only down to Mephisto. Next with Ghost Rider, I'm going to use his level 6 once again. Unfortunately I don't have either his E-ISO or his A-ISO. But we do get a follow-up attack with the Damnation Chains. This will cause Mephisto to kill one of his own minions. Now we only have one left. It's time for Groot to begin protecting, and hopefully he doesn't get taken out too easily. It's pretty scary facing blaster bosses with a level 1 protector, but he actually does seem to be holding up this time, and he makes it through all the attacks. At this point my agent is going to take an attack, but he does dodge it, and counters. So we'll go ahead and finish off the remaining demon, and then after that the boss should be pretty easy. With Groot we're going to use our only ability, his level 1, of course titled I Am Groot, but unfortunately the boss does dodge. But anyways, let's take a look at that Thorns buff on Groot. We have all 3 stacks, and normally this would cause bleeding and immediately hemorrhage. Personally I can't wait to see this in a normal setting. Also, notice that it once again says Flora Colossus, revived as a cutting when HP reaches 0. So it appears as though he'll start the process all over again. This will make Groot amazing in PvE, and you could use it to your benefit in PvP for sure. Of course, there it will be a little bit harder, but personally I can't wait to try it out. That's going to bring us to the end of our recruitment of Groot and our very first look. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I want to thank you all for watching. I'll be leveling this hero up as soon as I can, and I'll bring you more videos. In the meantime, make sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. That way you won't miss out on future Groot videos and further updates. That's it for now, and until next time, good luck, and take care. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see me play any other games, go ahead and check out the link in the following outro.